Hi, my name is Jessica Kramer, and this is my Wired Autocomplete interview. So let's begin. Mathematics is. I had a really tough time with, or this question seems really difficult, and I've had a really tough time thinking about this and what I was gonna say because to me, mathematics is the study of numbers and honestly it could be shapes and it could be some symbols and patterns and things. So I decided to actually type it into Google and say Google is, or I'm sorry, mathematics is. And the definition that I'm seeing when I first Google it is the abstract science of number, quantity, and space. And then it also says that it can be studied on its own or it can be studied with other disciplines such as physics and engineering. And this is straight from the Google dictionary that's online. Um, to me, mathematics has always been the study of numbers and shapes, and I guess space would be a better way to explain shapes because shapes are on a plane and that plane is in space. So that makes more sense. Um, so then let's move on to the next question. My relationship with mathematics is not great. I am one of those people that I've always really struggled with it. I've always really struggled with the why and not so much the how. In general, I can kind of mostly do things that I'm introduced, but I also really needed a very particular teaching styles for me to learn mathematics. I needed the teacher to go step by step, write every single part of the whole equation down. I needed them, and then once we were finished, I needed the teacher or professor to go back from the beginning and explain, okay, we did this, this is why we did this, and all the way through. And I was always the person that used 10 million pieces of scratch paper because I had to write everything out, even even things that could easily been done in my head, I needed to write out because I would second guess myself, or that would be where I would make the error, was if I just tried to do it in my head and I didn't write it out. So I have just never really been one to like math very much, and it's just not my strongest area. I would say the one time that I actually did really love and enjoy math was in high school when I took a geometry class, and I think at least half of it had to do with the teacher. The teacher I had was so fun. He made it so interesting. It was just a really great class. And he had a really interesting philosophy on grading and things. So it made me really want to work hard because I wanted to earn the grade that I had. And basically he started, everybody had an F. He put everything in the grade book and everything was a 0. And you had to work for the A because his theory was you haven't done anything to earn the A, so why should you have it? And so it encouraged me to work really hard to get the grades. And I know there's a whole thing grading isn't a thing, but at the time it was, so that's what I went with. Let's move on to the next question. So my relationship with math is terrible. I don't love it. I'm not a fan. And the next question is, I want my students to know about mathematics. Okay. I want my students to know about mathematics. What do I want them to know? I want them to know that, they're probably not going to use a lot of it in their life. I mean, off the top of my head, the only time I could ever tell you that I worked with the quadratic equation was in algebra. And there's a lot of things that they say you're going to use, but you don't. But then there are a lot of things that you use, but you don't always realize it, I guess. And I know that I'm reaching, and it's definitely the older grades, but statistics and probability were things that I never realized that I was using until I learned more about them. And in college courses too, I learned what they were and how to use them, and how to really think about what the odds of something happening really are. And then it also, in a math class that I took at Nevada State, we learned a lot about interest rates and mortgages and things like that. And that was really helpful because that's a real life thing that I could take away from it. And I'm a preschool teacher currently at a private Montessori school in Summerlin. And one of the things that I like love working with the students on is math, and we just work with like numbers first, like recognizing the numbers and then quantity association. And that's my favorite thing to do. And that's always the first thing I do with kids is the numbers. And I always try to make a game out of it. I try to make it so fun, like as like not stressful at all. Like I want it to be something they enjoy, because I don't want them to end up hating it like I did and like so many of my friends did, and that they really do just enjoy it and they learn something from it, and it's something that can be exciting. And while it still is kind of exciting, and I just don't want them to end up having their answer to this question being not great. So that is my Wired Autocomplete interview. This was actually a really fun activity, and I really appreciate Professor Bauer like having this or finding this idea and like manipulating it to work with our class. So thank you so much. Have a good night.